Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am back with a video of me doing my nails. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm going in with a 180 sanding bend to remove the shine from my natural nail. And I wasn't able to record the whole thing because my phone was acting up, but I was able to get as much as I could. So once again, I'm going in with a 180 sanding bend and I'm just removing the shine from the natural nail. Alrighty, so once again, I'm removing the shine from the natural nail and I'm doing the same thing I did on the other hand. I'm going in with my e-file and it's a 180 sanding bend and I'm just removing the shine. So once again, if you don't have a drill, you could always just use a regular hand file and just make sure that it's not too coarse because you don't want to damage your nail. Alrighty, so now I'm gonna go in with my hand file and I'm just shaping up my nails. I don't really like my nails long under my acrylics, especially since I'm doing clear tips this time. I don't want you to be able to see my natural nail underneath. So once again, I'm just using a regular hand file. I believe it's a 100 to just file and shape my nails. So for my tips, I'm gonna go in with my KDS nail glue and I'm just gonna glue on my tips. So once again, I'm using the clear tips and these will be on my website again pretty soon. I'm just waiting for my orders to come in and I will restock. So once again, I'm using my KDS glue and I'm using my clear tips. Alrighty, and also one of the most important things when gluing on your tips is you want to make sure that you're holding your finger or your client's finger really straight. That way the nail isn't crooked. Another thing is if one tip is too small and the other one's too big, you always want to go with the bigger tip because you can always file it down and make it fit perfectly. If you use one that's too small, most likely it's going to crack or it's going to lift. So remember, if one tip is too small and the other one's too big, always go with the bigger one. And then another thing would be, I had somebody ask me how far up do you glue the tips on the nail. So if you look at the tips, you can't really tell in this video, but if you look at the tips have a little line on there and that's basically a guide to where the nail needs to stop. So even if when you put the tip on your finger, if you like slide it onto the nail, you will feel it bump against your nail. So that's how you know how to put it on there or how far back to put it on there, if that makes sense. But once again, I'm using my KDS glue and my clear nail tips. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with my tip cutter and I'm just gonna cut my nails down to the desired length. So I'm gonna do like a medium length and then I'm gonna do a coffin shape. So once again, I'm just going in with this tip cutter, and if you don't have a tip cutter, you can always use a big toenail clipper and then just cut one side and then cut the other side, and that's it. So once again, I'm going in with a tip cutter, and then as you can see, as I'm going, I'm measuring my nails against the other nail to make sure that they are the same size. And after this, I'm going to go in with my hand file, which is a 100 nail file, to shape my nails. So as you can see, whenever I do coffins, I always cut the sides of them, but I don't like my coffin nails really narrow, so that's why I didn't cut them off. I'm just going to file them into a coffin shape, and then I'm going to blend the tip where the natural nail and the tip meet at. I'm going to file that down to make it blend. So once again, I'm going in with a 100 nail file to shape my nails. And remember, whenever you're shaping your nails, you kind of want to just alternate from side to side. You don't want to file too much on one side because then it'll be crooked. So just file from side to side, and then when you file the tip, make sure you file at a 90 degrees angle. That way it is really straight. And then whenever I do my other hand, I always have to like put my hand down and rest it on something, because if not, I don't know, my nail be crooked. And then this thumb, I actually had to go back and remove the thumbnail and glue another tip on there because I filed too much on one side. So that will happen. If you file too much on one side, it will be crooked. So that's why I took it off and had to redo it again. Alrighty, so as you can see, I'm doing my right hand with my left hand, and I am right-handed. So whenever you're doing your right hand with your left hand, as you can see, instead of moving the actual like file back and forth, I move my finger against the file, and that makes it so much easier because of course I'm not left-handed, so I just don't have the force to move the file back and forth with my left hand. And so what I do is I move my finger back and forth, and then if I have to move the file, I will, but it's easier for you to just move your finger back and forth. Same thing whenever you're buffing. As you can see here, like I kind of just alternate between actually moving the file or moving my finger, but whatever works for you is fine. And then here's what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes I have to put my hand down on something flat, that way I can get my tip really straight, but that's only whenever I'm doing my right hand with my left hand. Alrighty, so now I'm going in with a primer, and I'm using my OPI Bondex, and I'm just applying that on the natural nail. Remember, you want to make sure that you only apply to the natural nail and make sure it doesn't get on the skin, because if they have any little cuts, it will burn them. So for my acrylic brush, I'm using my Alpha brush in a number 9, and I do have a promo code for them, so I'll leave that in the description. For my acrylic, I'm using my Mia Secret pink powder and my monomer. So as you can see, I grabbed my bead, I placed it right in the middle where the natural nail and the tip meet. I brushed it down towards the tip, and then I'm going to go back and do another one on the tip, brush it down. And remember, when you're brushing, you want to make sure that you don't brush too hard, because you don't want to just brush all that acrylic away. And remember to always wipe your brush off after you wipe the nail, and then also make sure you wipe your brush before you dip your brush back into the liquid or the powder. So the next bead will be behind the first one, which is closer to that cuticle area, and then you do another one which is your stress area, or your that's where your nail gets its strength from. If it was to break, that's where it kind of holds on to, which is your apex. So remember, just kind of look at your nail from different angles. If you need more acrylic, just go back and add acrylic to that part. As you can see, that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm looking at my nail from different angles, and if it's still a little too flat or something, I go back and add. Don't just add a big old ball to one spot. Just kind of add a little bit at a time. That way you don't have a lot of filing to do at the end. So once again, I place my bead right in the middle where the natural nail and the tip meets. I brush it down towards the cuticle, towards the tip, and then I do another one, and then another one, and then another one. So I kind of always change it depending on how big my first bead is. As you can see, this one I did my second bead closer to the cuticle area, because once again, if my first bead is pretty big, then that means that my tip is going to be kind of already thick. So remember, just kind of look at it. It's always going to be different. It's always going to be the same process though, as far as picking up your acrylic, placing it down on the nail, and then brushing it down. So just look at your work, look at what you're doing, and don't just get acrylic happy and start adding acrylic everywhere, so you don't have a lot of falling to do. So once again, for the people in the back that didn't hear me and they're still gonna ask, I'm using my Mia's Secret acrylic system in the color pink, and my monomer, which is also by Mia's Secret, and I'm using my alpha brush in a number 9, which is a pretty good size. I was using a number 8, but it was a little bit too small, and this one is just the perfect size. I feel like it's really good for somebody that's been doing nails for a long time, or even for beginners. But once again, this is an alpha brush in a number 9, and it is an oval shape. And I do have a promo code, so I'll leave that in the description. Alrighty, so during the acrylic application, my phone went dead and I didn't realize it, so I didn't get to record the whole thing. But after the acrylic application, I'm going to do the other hand, and then I'm going to come back and reshape my nails. After that, I'm going to file the nails, and remember, when you're filing the nails, you want to make sure that you file really good around the cuticle area to prevent lifting, to make sure you seal that cuticle area really good so no water gets under there. And then after that, you just buff them off and clean them off, and that's it. Alrighty, so now I'm going in with my IBD gel top coat, and I've already cut my foil up, and I'm using my French brush in a number 6 by Alpha Brush to pick up the foil. So what I do is I dip it into the acetone just so it's a little bit wet so the foil sticks to it, and then I'm just randomly applying the foil on the nail. And the only thing I do focus on is to make sure that I cover up my natural nail with that foil, as you can see right in the middle, because once again, I don't like my real nail to show, so that's why I did that. So I'm gonna do that on every finger. So I do a top coat, which is my IBD gel top coat, and then I go in and I just place the foil on the nail, and you just do this randomly, but once again, I don't like my natural nail showing, so that's why I'm doing that foil on the tip. So after this, we're going to cure all the nails, and then we're going to come back and do another top coat. Alrighty, so now I'm gonna cure them for 60 seconds, and after this I'm gonna come back and do another coat. I could have did the foil encapsulated in the acrylic, but I didn't want to go through all that, so that's why I'm kind of encapsulating the foil in the top coat. So once again, I'm going in with another coat of top coat, which is my IBD gel top coat, and then we're gonna cure those for another 60 seconds. Alrighty, so after they are cured, I'm going to go in with a buffer and I'm just going to buff them, because if you were to just leave it like this, they are going to be a little bit rough, so you want to make sure you buff them really good to get any of the little extra pieces or like the little hard pieces off the nail. You want it to be really nice and smooth. So once again, I'm just going in with a buffer to remove any of the little sharp edges that are left. Also, if you don't encapsulate the whole thing into the nail, it will start turning green eventually, so that's why you want to make sure that all the foil is inside the top coat or inside of the acrylic if you do decide to encapsulate it with the acrylic. So I'm just buffing them away, and then after this I'm going to just add some bling. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go in with this jewel gel, and I think I got it from eBay. I'm going to try to look for the link if I can, but I wasn't able to last time I looked. So I'm going to pick the gel up with my little French brush by Alpha Brush, and I'm just going to place it where I want the jewels to go. So I've actually never done the big pieces of jewels, like the big jewels, so I'm not sure how good they're going to stay on me or how I'm going to like them or what. But I'm going to pick them up with my wax pencil, and then I'm just going to do 3 and place them around each other, and then I'm going to let that cure. So once you get them in place, you can cure them for about 30 to 60 seconds to make sure that they stay in place and they don't move around while you're doing the other fingers. Alrighty, so for the other fingers, I'm just going to be adding some other jewels. So for this one, I'm using my SS6, which is the little bitty ones, and I'm just doing a couple around my cuticle area. For my middle finger, I'm going to do just one in the middle, same thing for the thumb, and then for the pinky, I'm going to outline the whole nail with the small rhinestones, and then a big one in the middle, or not a big one, but SS12 in the middle, and then the SS6 all around. And for that, I'm using my wax pencil, my Mia Secret Gel Resin, and then I'm also going to be using my Mia Secret Gel Resin Activator to make sure that the glue is nice and dry. So after I apply all my bling, I'm going to go in with my Mia Secret Gel Resin Activator, and I'm just going to spray my nails to make sure that that glue is dry. And after this, I'm going to go in with a final layer of my IBD gel top coat, and I'm going to let that cure for 60 seconds. Alrighty, y'all, so this is the final look. They turned out really pretty. I like them, but I'm not just like in love with them, but they're pretty. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at GetNailed32, and I'll see you guys in my next video.